Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. So in this episode I wanted to make a basic tea light holder, and for that I've got a piece of pallet wood, as you can see there, a nice hard piece. I think it might be beech but I'm not sure. So I started off by marking up the length that I wanted, and I wanted it to accommodate 5 tea lights. So working with that measurement, I then placed the tea lights out to get a rough idea of the spacing that I'd want. And then with the combination square I started to mark up, starting off by finding the centre. I'm just double checking everything. So I drew a line through the centre. And then when I decided on the spacing, I started to mark up where to drill the holes for the tea lights. So then I used an awl to make the marks ready for the drill press, and you can also use a hand drill. Don't necessarily need a drill press for this. So before that I cut it out on the miter saw. So now it was ready for the drill press. But before that I wanted to give it an edge. Just a round over bit in the router, just to soften up all the edges and to just make it look a bit more finished and neat. So to drill the holes I used a Forstner bit, which was slightly larger than the tea light, and then I just drilled down slowly to a certain point. You can see the smoke coming off there because it was so cold in the workshop that day. Smoke coming off the wood. But I took my time and then cleaned up all the jibbings. And now there were some nasty holes either side where nails had been. So I filled those. And this was kind of where I realised later, after this had dried, that this fill-out wasn't the right shade for the wood. I thought it matched up nicely, but be careful of that, because when it was dry it stood out quite badly. So later on I decided to give it a darker stain than what I was going to go for, but that's fine. So now I gave it all sanding just to remove all those pencil marks and to smooth the whole thing off. I used 120 grit for that, and then I went down to a 240 just to hand finish it. And you can just see there the fill out really stood out. So I just went round with some sandpaper in those holes just to soften up the edges to prevent any chips later on. So for the finish I've gone with a Burma Teak, which is quite a dark finish, and the idea is that it will mask the fill marks. If you wanted a rustic look you could kind of just leave those holes open, but I wanted to fill them. I was going to go with an oil originally, but as I say, it wouldn't cover those marks well. So what I decided to do on the sides was the stain wasn't quite covering it, so I used some brown acrylic paint and I blended that in, went over the tops of these just to mask them, and then between coats I denibbed because this was a water based stain and it brought the grain out slightly. So then I added a second coat. And to finish it off, I had these little plastic feet I have no idea where they came from. I took them off something a while ago and I found them in my little box of knickknacks. So I decided to add these to the bottom just to raise it off the table slightly. So then it was time to add the tea lights. And light them. So I've put a few other items there. You can see I've got some other tea lights in the background, and I've got a door stop and a bottle opener, and I'll leave links in the description box below for all these videos if you'd like to make those things as well. So in the end, I think it turned out quite nice. So as always, thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing for more videos, and I'll see you next time.